to the start of a new series of Indelible Evidence, reflecting the way forensic science is concerned with solving crimes. The programme contains scenes that some viewers could find disturbing.
Welcome to a new series of Indelible Evidence, this time with an international flavour. 2 cases each from Germany, Australia, New Zealand and Britain. Indelible Evidence is about the work of forensic scientists, those whose examination of drops of blood, fibres, paint, semen, traces of explosive and so on is increasingly helping to solve crimes and convict criminals. As in the first series, most of those taking part are actors, but wherever possible, the police officers and the scientists involved play themselves. Tonight's story is about a small-time burglar, unable to read or write, who grew into a compulsive rapist. In attacking his victims in their own homes, he terrorized a whole neighborhood over a period of months until forensic evidence finally caught up with him. The media called him the Fox.
We forgot to record that film.
No, I set it.
You didn't leave the hall light on, though.
There's been a power cut. Or a fuse.
But the telly's playing.
He'd taken out the light bulbs. He got all these ties and things from upstairs. He's nicked some money as well. About 130 quid.
It's open round here, isn't it? You must have scared him.
He scared us. He made himself a pot of tea. Look, it's still warm.
And none of this is you.
We'd been out for a meal.
He was obviously feeling peckish.
I think he's taken my anorak, that blue one.
Anything else from here?
Just the peanuts. There was a big package of peanuts.
There looks like another footmark over here, Peter.
Yes, I think
Peter, do you want to take a photograph of this one?
Yes, please, Jim.
This case was obviously something out of the ordinary. A major inquiry was set up, and because of the link between the two crimes, it was called Operation Peanut. We began to reinvestigate a number of other burglaries in the same area which had had unusual features.
It was about 10 o'clock. I'd only just put my light off. I heard like a shuffling sound. He was in the doorway of the bedroom.
Was he armed?
No.
Was he wearing any kind of disguise?
No, but he held his hand over his face. He had curly brown hair. That's all I could see. I said, "What do you want? I've got no money." He came straight over to the bed, pulled the covers back, thrust his hand down the bed under my nightdress.
Did he touch your private parts?
Yes, I was scared stiff. I began to bang on the wall.
Fibres and other items at her house were gathered by scenes of crime officers. They also found the mark made by the implement that was used to break in. They took an impression using Silcaset, a fast-setting plastic. At this point, we called on the expert assistance of the Home Office forensic scientists at Huntingdon. They were able to draw a clear picture of the implement. It turned out to be a very distinctive screwdriver. There was one other strange incident, apparently unrelated, which we re-examined.
He wore a ski mask. You know, army surplus stores, you can buy them. The place was empty. I was out visiting the girlfriend. It was as if he was waiting for me. As I came in through that door, there was a shotgun pointing at my chest and a torch shining in my eyes.
It was your shotgun?
I kept it in here. It's where he got in.
And where did the attack take place?
He laid out belts and ropes. There was nothing I could do. He blindfolded me with a scarf, tied me up. Then he did what he wanted to do.
He sexually assaulted you? Did he seem to know what he was doing?
Well, I wouldn't know. If you ask me, I think he'd have preferred it if I'd been a woman.
If this collection of bizarre attacks were the work of the same man, his pattern of behaviour was becoming ever more dangerous. This time, it was rape. An armed, masked man woke up a young married couple and forced the wife to tie up her husband. He then raped the woman. Material from the bedroom was sent to Huntingdon, where it was examined by a team led by Graham Craddock.
There's nothing unusual in the way the knot's tied. I mean, we can't tell if he's a sailor or anything. But when we look closely at the knot, there are white rabbit hairs caught up in it.
You mean he works with rabbits?
No.
Glynis had produced a scanning electron micrograph which showed that the hairs had been broken off and had therefore come from a garment of some sort, a jacket or a hat or, more likely, fur-lined gloves. So he got rabbit hairs on his hands and then they got transferred to the knot when he tied it? Yeah. Human beings shed fibres from their clothes much as animals shed fur. The pillowcase and other items from the bedroom where the rape took place were bound to have fibres from the assailant's clothes transferred to them. Such fibres are usually too small to be seen by the naked eye. The fibres from the scene of the rape provided a link with the scene of the earlier assault on the elderly lady.
What have we got? Oh, the tiger tails.
They match beautifully, probably from a garment such as a jumper.
Cheap one?
Yes, I would think so, from that type of fibre.
Very good. Very good.
We were able to match the structure of the fibres, their chemical composition, and even the chemical composition of the dye mixtures. The two crimes were, without a shadow of doubt, connected. The police sent us other fibres, which they'd recovered from what was now a whole series of linked crimes. They all pointed to a single culprit.
Where did you reach against the frame? Down? About there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the crimes were committed in 3 different police force areas, and because of their serious nature, the investigation took on the status of a national inquiry under the overall command of Chief Superintendent Brian Prickett.
After the attack, did you hear a car start up, or perhaps a motorcycle?
No, definitely.
What about the man's voice?
I think it was a northern accent. When he said, "Move, move," it sounded like, "Move, move." And he was left-handed. He wore his wristwatch on his right hand.
Like I do.
Yes.
Only I'm not left-handed, it's just the way I wear it. Because of his apparent ability to melt into the countryside after each attack, the media had already dubbed him the Fox. It's impossible to overstate the climate of fear that this man created in the area. People felt unsafe, even in their own homes. Clearly to us, this was a criminal who had got to be caught as soon as possible. Our operation was geared up to instant response to the first report of a suspicious incident or a burglary.
Sorry to disturb you, but there's been a break-in at number 40, yeah?
Is this one empty, do you know?
Yes, they're away, but they were burgled anyway a month back.
Good evening. Families living in a small Bedfordshire village are barricading themselves in their homes tonight after the latest brutal sex attack by a man who's become known as the Fox. His victims this time were a teenage girl, her brother and her boyfriend.
One of the teenage victims told us that the rapist had put his foot on a standard lamp in order to tear out the flecks, which he then used for tying them up. There was nothing to be seen by using normal methods, so a scientist came out from Huntingdon with an electrostatic device which transferred minute dust particles onto a surface that made them visible. The resultant footprint was usefully unusual. The laboratory was able to give us a pretty good idea of the kind of shoes he wore. The inquiry was accelerated into the largest investigation since the Yorkshire Ripper. Following lessons learnt in the Ripper case, a computer was installed. The first time in Britain that a computer had been dedicated to searching for a single criminal. Reports from many different sources poured in. Each was carefully entered into the database. We also held regular press conferences to keep the public aware of the kind of man that we were after.
The basis we're working on has been that he is not sleeping rough, that he's had some form of either permanent or semi-permanent accommodation. All the indicators on all the offences are that the man is clean, there is no odour about him, and that he's not sleeping rough.
It should fix it. Keep us safe from that bloody maniac. Have you seen all that? Oh, it's forgetting you can't read, can you? They're saying they're going to blood test everybody around here soon.
I thought I was dreaming at first. No, not a dream. It's like a nightmare. Only you're living it. And in your bedroom. No, please. I was petrified. My husband was ill anyway. I thought we were both going to die.
say to you?
I'll never forget that voice. Commands. Short, sharp. Do this, do that. He's a Geordie.
How do you know he's a Geordie?
Oh, he's from the northeast, there's no doubt about that. He had a voice just like our gardener.
With every crime he committed, more evidence became available. The rape by the motorway provided us with a breakthrough in several ways. In an attempt to cover his tracks, he'd cut out a piece of the bedsheet which bore his semen. From this we could now be clear about his blood group.
Here's something.
The police assumed the rapist would return for the gun, and they wanted the scene undisturbed. However, because we wanted a closer look, we reached a compromise. Heavily disguised, forensic scientists and police went looking for evidence of the vehicle the rapist must have used.
He's bashed into this here, you see.
Some paint on this tree. It's been lifted. So it's 3'9" above the ground.
It must have been pushed up the way a wedge would push it up. So it must be the sloping pillar of a car, either end. But it can't be the flat back of a van.
And it has to be a rear pillar.
Why?
Because the bonnet sticks out too far. If the branch had brushed against the windscreen pillar, there'd be tyre tracks in the soft ground in front of it here. There aren't any, so it has to be a back end. He reversed it.
And if that's what I think it is, if that was made by the back bumper of a car, then I don't think it came back any further. It's a car with a blunt back end.
So you're saying we're after a hatchback or something similar?
A mass of material, including vegetation gathered at the motorway site, was brought to Huntingdon for closer inspection. The sliver of paint was so thin that it was hard to be certain which colour matched exactly. Of all the manufacturers using this colour, only one used it frequently. Although several of their models sprayed with this paint had blunt back ends, the size and shape suggested one car in particular.
Well, that's interesting. That is interesting.
Especially if the mark is on the top part.
Come on, Graham.
Hi, John.
Hello, Graham. How are you?
Morning, Brian. Now, I brought you some goodies. That's the latest report. Have a copy of that, John. The forensic science had revealed the likely colour of the car we were searching for, and the fact that it was a hatchback or round-backed saloon. We also knew that there would be slight damage to the rear offside pillar, 45 inches, 3'9", off the ground.
Of course, you remember, Graham, what we were talking about before was to get together a folder for all the officers on the case so they've got everything when they go out. You can see from the... We knew his blood group, his voice, his height, his general build, the type of clothing he wore, and the housebreaking implements he used. By this stage, it would be fair to say that we knew everything about him but his name. And plus the computer printout.
Our computers produced a list of all... From the computer, our staff pulled out a surprisingly long list of people in the area who had had connections with the northeast of England. We had to trace, identify, and eliminate from the inquiry every one of them. Two of my officers went to London for a day to make a number of such routine calls. It wasn't straightforward. Many had already moved on, and sometimes forwarding addresses were a bit vague. A long way down the list, against an address in Osney Crescent, was the name Michael Farley.
No, not at this address.
We've been given this number.
Yes, but no one of that name here.
Is this not your telephone number?
That's not even a Kentish Town number. I don't know what that is. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's the number we've been given. It's a man who's recently moved to London. And we've got an address in Kentish Town. But it looks like the wrong exchange. Thank you, Nige. Look, if you try the Kentish Town code in front of the last 4 digits I've given you, can you look up the address? Osney Crescent, yes. Number 65. Thanks very much indeed. Are you Michael Farley?
Aye.
We're police officers, Mr. Farley. Is this your car?
Aye, it is.
We're making some inquiries into a series of incidents in the Bedfordshire area. Do you mind asking us a few questions? And you were working in the area during the Fox inquiry, and you got relatives there?
Aye, but I'm living here now.
But you do come from the northeast, don't you?
Aye, but I brought my family down here for good now.
Uh-huh. Look, we better go inside and sort this out. Is that your watch?
Aye.
Don't leave it there, you don't want it nicked, do you? Michael Farley, I'm arresting you on suspicion of rape and aggravated burglary. I'm going to caution you that you're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so. But what you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that?
My mum says your tea's about ready.
Tell her I'll not be long.
The real Michael Farley was sentenced to life imprisonment for each of the rapes. His blood group and fibres found in his car were the evidence that convicted him. Also found in his car was a newly cut mask. He was waiting to strike again.